Hey guys, this is Pratik and you're watching Technocrat. We most often come across a wide range of audio file formats like MP3, ACC, AIFF and WAV. So each of these file formats occupies different amount of storage on the disk. And you might have also come across something called the audio codecs. These are what are responsible for audio compression. What is audio compression and why do we need it? What are the different advantages of using one audio file format over the other and how are they different? Let's try to understand all of this in this video. Basically, the audio is encoded using the PCM technique or the pulse code modulation technique. In this way, the waveform of this digital audio resembles the waveform of the original audio signal. So it also has the highest quality and at the same time it occupies a lot of storage space on the disk and also consumes a lot of bandwidth when tried to transmit it. Typically, a 24-bit 96 kHz stereo digital audio would consume something around 34 megabits per just a minute of audio. This is very heavy. This makes it very difficult for us to store lengthy audio data as it would consume a lot of storage space and it would be very expensive for us to transmit this data as bandwidth is a very limited resource. We cannot afford to do it either way. That is the reason we compress audio. Digital audio compression can be done in two ways, that is lossy compression and lossless compression. All the audio file formats fall into three categories, that is uncompressed file format, lossy compression file formats and lossless compression file formats. Let's look at each of them one by one. First, let's look at the uncompressed file formats. Most of you might have seen the WAV format or the WAV format. This was introduced by Microsoft and IBM in the year 1991. This contains the uncompressed PCM format. Though the WAV file format was created by Microsoft, it can also be opened on Macs as well. The next uncompressed file format is AIFF, which stands for Audio Interchange File Formats. This was introduced by Apple for its line of Macs in the year 1987. Even the AIFF audio format contains the uncompressed audio in PCM format and this can be opened on Windows platforms as well. Both of these file formats can also contain compressed formats, but that is rarely done. The WAV format and the AIFF format are just those wrapper classes or the container files that contain an uncompressed bit stream of audios. Now the next compression format is the lossless compression format. In this format, the original quality of the audio can be retained, but then the storage space that it consumes is almost half. Let's see how it is done. Even though there are places of silence in the uncompressed audio, the uncompressed audio saves them as if there is some audio data present there. But when you look at the lossless compression, it removes all those duplicate values and thereby reducing the size by half. Say suppose there are 10 consecutive values in the uncompressed file format, then the uncompressed file format would store it as it is. But the lossless compression file format would just store this value once and say how many times this value occurs. So in this way, statistically, you are removing all the duplicate values. This lossless compression not only reduces the storage space by half, but also makes the processing faster because there is less number of data. The three most commonly used lossless audio compression file formats are FLAC, ALAC and WMA. FLAC stands for Free Lossless Audio Codec and this can reduce the storage space by about 60%. The next lossless audio file format is ALAC, which stands for Apple Lossless Audio Codec, which was introduced by Apple. This was initially a proprietary audio codec, but later it was made a royalty-free software in the year 2011. The ALAC audio codec is typically less efficient than the FLAC audio codec, but then you have no choice when it comes to the Apple ecosystem because both the iTunes and iOS support only ALAC when it comes to lossless audio. If Apple comes up with a new audio file format, then even Microsoft would do the same, and even the vice versa is true. So Microsoft has come up with a new file format called WMA, which stands for Windows Media Audio. The WMA file format is not as popular as FLAC or ALAC because it supports only very limited hardware and it works only on a Windows platform. There are typically no advantages as compared to ALAC and FLAC. So if you want your lossless file formats to run on all your devices, then you have to use FLAC. If you want to use lossless audio on all your devices, then you have no other choice other than using FLAC. Even though the lossless compression file format is reducing this file size by 50%, even that's significant. So that's the reason we use lossy compression file formats. In lossy compression, there's a significant amount of loss in data and the quality is inferior to the uncompressed file formats and the lossless compression file formats. In lossy compression, we rely on techniques like psychoacoustics, which say which part of the sound is more convincing and which part of the sound is not at all perceived. So in this way, we remove all those unperceived sounds and we compress the rest of the audio as much as possible. In lossy compression file formats, we are just trying to reduce all those statistical redundancies. The two most popular audio compression file formats for lossy compression is MP3 and AAC. MP3 stands for MPEG-1 Audio Layer 3, which was released in the year 1993. This is undoubtedly the most popular lossy compression file format. You'll be surprised to know that all the digital devices in this world with an audio player will be able to read an MP3 file format. No other file format enjoys this privilege. The second most popular audio file format in this category is AAC, which stands for Advanced Audio Codec. This was introduced in the year 1997. The AAC file format is technically more advanced than the MP3 file format. Actually, the AAC file format was introduced to cover up all the flaws that were in the MP3 file format. If you take the same audio in both the formats, that is AAC and MP3, then the AAC would have lesser bitrate and a superior quality as compared to the MP3 file format. Even though the MP3 file format is the most popular file format, the AAC file format is widely used today. The AAC file format is the standard compression technique used for YouTube, Android, iOS as well as iTunes. OGG and WMA are two other lossy compression file formats that are not as popular as MP3 and AAC. Especially WMA is another file format introduced by Microsoft, which is a proprietary codec. So not many devices will be able to use it. Apart from all the audio file formats mentioned above, there are hundreds of file formats and thousands of codecs. Few are free and few are quite expensive. Most of the other file formats like .3GP file format and the M3A file format are just a slight variation of ACC file format or the MP3 file format. All the audio file formats are container files or wrapper files. These container files contain the bit stream, that is the actual audio data, and also contain the metadata or header. This metadata contains the name of the file, it contains the sampling rate, it contains the bit depth, and it also says which audio encoding format was used to encode this bit stream. Now coming to the bit stream. This bit stream is generated by the codec. Audio compression is responsible only because of the codec. A codec is a device or a software that compresses data. In this case, the name of the audio file format is same as the codec, unlike in video. For example, an MP4 file format in video has the codec .h264. We have seen all the kinds of file formats, but would it make any difference in the audio quality? I would say it depends on the beholder. If you have never listened to uncompressed file formats earlier, then definitely you will not be able to make out the difference between MP3 file formats and the uncompressed file formats. I hope you have understood about the different file formats and why different file formats occupy different bitrates and different storage spaces. So choose the right file format depending on what quality you need and how much storage space you have or what bandwidth you have to transmit this audio data. This video is part of the series Understanding Audio. I've also made few other good videos on bitrate, sampling, audio jacks, why do we love bass, and how noise cancellation works. Do watch all of those videos if you want to have a better understanding of audio. Do subscribe to Technocrat if you haven't yet subscribed and turn on the notifications to never miss an update from us. I'm glad that you wanted to learn something new from this video and I hope you have learned something new. Always believe in science and make the best possible use of technology. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.